Your mailbox.
And Village Board, you are live.
Good morning, everybody. Today is October 21st, 2022. Welcome to East Hampton Village regular board meeting. If I could have everyone stand for a Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. So before we get into the regular meeting, I just have a few announcements. Just want to remind everybody that Halloween will be on Monday, the 31st, and we'll have our annual, our regular setup up on North Newtown Lane, which we close all the roads, makes trick-or-treating really safe and fun for families. So please come out and do that. We also have a lot of candy available at Village Hall on that day from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Dylan's Candy Bar on Main Street closed for the season and dropped off hundreds of pounds of candy to Village Hall. So we have packaged it all up and it's available for your kids to pick up. It should be a fun day. Hybrid meeting update for the ZBA and the DRB Planning Board. We are not going to do that. We discussed it last meeting. And after the meeting, we heard from the chairman of the ZBA and the chairman of the planning and DRB, and they're not interested in the hybrid meeting. So all meetings will be live. We are sending out a survey to all residents. And 3 of the questions on the survey will be, do we want Wyborg Beach to be protected by lifeguards? Yes or no? Do we want to have a dog park in Herrick Park? And the third question is, do we want pickleball courts installed in Herrick Park? So that survey will be going out to wherever you receive your tax bill. And we'd appreciate a response back to those 3 questions. We have the dog adoption taking place this Sunday in Herrick Park from 10 to 2. We have several local rescues that are going to be present, and you can adopt dogs in Herrick Park this weekend. So on Sunday from 10 to 2, should be a nice time. And then the next announcement, I'm going to turn over to Trustee Doyle and let her talk about the mystery crime weekend that she is setting up for April.
Oh, great.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah. So April 13th to 16th, we are going to have the first, hopefully annual Hamptons Mystery and Crime Festival. It'll take place entirely in East Hampton Village, and it'll kick off opening night with a cocktail party, followed by 2 days of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of panels, interviews with best-selling mystery and thriller authors. We will also have true crime panels, and we'll have true crime podcasts recording live from some of our venues. And this is the first time there's been a multimedia crime and mystery festival. We'll also have our village historian, Hugh King, giving some tours in the graveyard, and the library is participating. They'll be hosting escape rooms and murder mystery games. And we already have our 2 honorary chairs who are also part-time East Hampton residents are Alifair Burke and Dan Mallory, who writes under the name AJ Finn. They're both best-selling authors. And Michael Connolly has agreed to be our guest of honor, as well as Anthony Horowitz, who are 2 best-selling authors who have TV shows as well. So we're really excited about this event. We are also going to we'll have panels in English as well as Spanish-speaking panels. The mayor is very committed to incorporate our Spanish-speaking population in some of our programming. And we've heard from a lot of the residents that we want some off-season programming. So that's what this festival will be. And we're going to keep the cost really low so that everybody is invited and can be involved and come. So please put on your calendar and reach out. Our website is live. It's called hamptonswhodoneit.com. So go visit it. And I think it's going to be a really fun weekend.
Thanks, Gary. Hey, Matt, is there a way to lower the volume on this TV so we get a lot of feedback here? Thanks. And next work session will be Thursday, November 3rd, and it's going to be at the Hunting Inn at 11 o'clock. So hopefully you can join us there. I don't know if anybody has seen the last two work sessions we've done. LTV has done a great job with them and kind of cut in while we're having the meeting, and Hugh is giving us the history of the building that we happen to be in. LTV is cutting to different pictures of the location. It's well done. And I want to thank LTV for making that possible. And hopefully you can join us. This is a really fun time. You hear about the history, you get to see the building, and it's been working out very well. So we're really happy with that. That's all I have for right now. So let's go to roll call, June.
Sure. Mayor Larson,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Minardi,
Here.
Trustee Sandra Melendez.
Here.
Trustee Sarah Amonen,
Here.
Trustee Carrie Doyle,
Here.
Administrator Marcos Balladron.
Here.
Attorney Vinnie Messina,
Present.
and Attorney Lisa Perillo.
Great, thank you. All right, first up is presentations. Hugh King, our village historian.
Thank you. Couple of things I did not talk about when we went at the Hedges Inn. The Hedges name has been on that spot longer than any other place in the village, I think. In other words, about 1652, the Hedges family wound up on that place. The Mulford House wasn't built by the Mulfords. It was ordered to be built by Josiah Hobart. The Mulfords didn't take over until later. That was like 1685 that the Mulford House was built. The Hunting Inn, where you're going next, was about 1699. And then the Osborne Jackson House has an old name on it, but that's like 1730 or 1740. So the Hedges, as far as I know right now, is the only place that has its original name going back as far as it does, 1652. Now, the other thing, the mayor asked me, how come Dr. Frederick Russell was a mayor for 6 years? And I told him incorrectly that he became mayor because Samuel Gregory, the mayor, died. Well, that's not true. Samuel Gregory decided not to run in 1930, and he died shortly after. And when Dr. Russell was running for mayor, the term was 2 years. That's why that happened. Okay. Now I see that the Dayton name is on your agenda today. I don't know if you're going to be going to the Dayton House, which is the 1770 house. That was owned by the Dayton family for many years. And one of the daughters married a teacher at Clinton Academy. There was a little store, either, where the dining room is upstairs, that may have been a store, or where the townhouse is, there might have been a store. I'm not sure. Also, I think the mayor will know this. The reason I'm mentioning this, Edward Morford used to own or operate the 1770 house. Who was he?
He was a police chief in the village.
Right, and that's the one we can't find a picture of.
Correct.
Also, yes. Also, the paneling inside, if you go into the 1770 house, you go to your right where the little area is, there's paneling in there. And that paneling is the same paneling that we have at Home Sweet Home. Tombstone paneling, they call it. No other place that we know of right now has that paneling. And then finally, on Tuesday, the 25th, students are going to be coming to the Lyman Beecher House for a tour. So we're going to take them outside, but we're going to take them inside the Beecher House Village Hall, and we're going to show them where the different parts of the room were. So if the mayor could be in there doing his homework upstairs where the school was, and if the village administrator could be sleeping in the room where the students slept, we'll have an accurate depiction of what went on there. No, I'm kidding. Okay. And the final thing is you're talking about Halloween. On Halloween, I will be going to the East Hampton Middle School to talk to the students about Loretta Orion's book, It Was Well to Please the Devil as Anger Him. And I will be talking to the students in the school on that day. That's it.
Thank you very much, Hugh. Next up is Ed Hollander, world-renowned landscaper. who's going to give us a presentation that he has volunteered to do for us for nothing, which I can't thank you enough for that, Ed. That's
Remember,
so
you
nice
get
of
what you pay for. I must say, this is the first time I've been in front of a village board when I haven't been in trouble for something. So that's a good thing. Earlier this summer, Mayor Larson gave me a call out of the blue and asked if I hadn't done enough free work for the village of Sag Harbor and couldn't I come do some free work for the village of East Hampton. And it seemed like I just couldn't resist such a magnanimous offer. We went down and took a look at Town Pond. Can we put the plan up and we can start to talk about that maybe? And put the other drawing up if you would, just to start with. There we are. So what we looked at is the fact that Town Pond right now is basically a body of water surrounded by fertilized turf that basically, it becomes a little bit of a drainage area. It could be improved, let's say, without being critical. And what we talked about doing was creating a kind of a flowering pollinator garden around the pond that would accomplish several goals. It would help to filter out runoff that runs down those slopes before the stormwater reached the pond, which would have I think a marked improvement of water quality that's in there. It would be, it would provide seasonal beauty in terms of the various wildflowers and grasses that are selected to go around there. And it would provide, I think, some very valuable habitat for birds, butterflies, bees, pollinators that are such an important part of the East Hampton and larger ecosystem. So there are very few things where you can say they're only good outcomes, and hopefully nothing controversial, though. I should have learned my lesson about that on any of a number of other occasions. But the idea really is to do something that's going to beautify the village, improve water quality, and create habitat for pollinators.
That's terrific. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
Thank you so much for this plan. It's beautiful. And I love the idea of putting pollinators in there for the butterflies and the bees. Just a couple logistical questions.
Sure.
And I'm not sure if, just to clarify in my mind, I know that you generously gave this plan. Who would the village be responsible for the maintenance and the weeding and the?
Well, that's a great question. And I think this is the initial discussion of this. When I talk with Mayor Larson, it seems like something that we probably could get town CPF funds for the installation, since it really will do something that would improve water quality. I think with any new planting project, no matter how native and natural it is, there's obviously some maintenance after it first gets installed. But hopefully what we're planting is something that as it grows in will basically be able to maintain itself as much as that is logistically possible. So will there be some initial care for DPW or the village? Yes. Will there be long-term care for it outside of maybe a seasonal mowing? Probably not.
And then in the wintertime, it would just look like empty beds?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the things that we have proposed for there and what we were trying to do in considering what plants would go there were a series of factors. A, what wants to grow here? What's going to be beautiful spring, summer, fall, winter? What's going to provide valuable food sources and habitat for the pollinators? We didn't go with strictly native plants because that whole discussion of native and global warming and deer and everything else that makes that impinges on reality sometimes. So we've tried to pick plants that are going to look good all year round. A lot of these plants will have seed heads that we would leave up. Typically, this is the kind of thing you would mow it down early in the spring. You'd leave it up in the winter, and then early spring, it probably all gets mowed down and it starts to regenerate every spring on its own.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I just have a question. When to move forward on this project, when would planting, say, take place? Fall, spring?
Well, first, I think what we'd have to do is, and we should probably talk with Billy Hayjack on this some to make sure that we're all in line with what's best for the village. Then come up with specifying the number, size, quantity of plants. What's it going to cost? Get funding. we would probably reach out to one of the local, or there are any number of nurseries that grow these kind of plants, and we could probably get it at a highly discounted rate if we contract grow, if we ask them to grow exactly what we need. And so then the factor is, okay, when do we secure funding? What's it going to cost? How does it get ordered and grown? When does it get planted? Could that all be achieved to plant it in spring of 23? Possibly.
Okay.
But either it's probably something that wants to happen mid-March to early May, or mid-September to late October. Those are the windows when, we really should be planting. We know in the Hamptons, it's more of a year-round operation based on our clients' needs. But that would be the ideal time. And I think the more we can work with Mother Nature, the easier and better it's going to do for the village.
Perfect. So Billy, you have another project. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? You have a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, this is so exciting. Crazy on Cheryl Road. Totally excited. This is really what- I'm so thrilled.
Good.
About what percentage of plants are versus,
Well, what I would say is this: we'll be using a eupatorium. And instead of doing and so what we're probably going to do is, rather than, Joe Pye weed that grows to 8 feet tall, which would then block our view of the pond, we would go with a variety of eupatorium, which still looks beautiful, but grows 3 feet tall, so that it provides the same habitat, it provides the same food source, but it also aesthetically works better with, the conditions that we're working with. And we specified some taller plants. As we get down towards the pond, they can be a little bit taller. As they move up the slope, it's a little bit drier, so different plants. So while we haven't been strictly native, I think when we do lead kind of projects, they talk about native adaptive plants that will grow without artificial fertilizers, chemicals, things like that, so that they are basically beneficial to the environment without opening up a book and saying this is a native plant.
that's very cool. Are we looking at about 2/3 native?
I'd have to go back and look at the excuse me, at the exact list. But everything. If it's not a native plant today, it is something that is grown out of a native species. So it's something that we know will grow well here. And so it's not an invasive plant that we're bringing in from somewhere else. It may be a hybrid variety of a native plant. And if we can source it locally, there's a nursery called Glover Nursery up on the North Fork that grows a lot of plants, even with native seeds. It's one of the details that we've got to work out if we want to move forward with this.
Okay.
What about the green area?
Yep.
Is that what is
The green area, I mean, it's a large area. And I think just to be feasible and reasonable in terms of the expanse that we're working on, the time and the cost, we haven't proposed to remove all the grass around Town Pond. We're doing some individual large swaths of areas now. Let's see how that works. We can always do more. The one thing I've learned in doing landscape architecture for 30 years is whenever you think you know something, you find out you really don't. And so doing this at kind of in a progression where we're going to take certain areas, try it, see what's going to do well, see what's not going to do so well. What are the deer going to bother? What aren't they going to bother? I think is a smart way to approach this.
absolutely, so not big grass.
Well, that's what's there now. And so we're not proposing to remove all of that. Also, because we don't want to disturb the entire area around the pond. And then we get a big rainstorm, and then all of a sudden it gets all silted up and we get erosion. So we're not proposing to remove all of the lawn that's there. We're proposing to remove it in the areas where we're going to do these swaths of pollinator plantings.
And move on to maintenance and what that will involve. It's got all these beautiful pollinator plants and, it's a regular turf lawn and I have to remove every single week and it's a leaf blower. You're going to be blowing away all the beautiful.
Right. And I think whoever does that for the village, we can work with them and come up
Yeah.
with a
That's-
plan that works well.
Yeah, that's perfect. So,
I know that there are high schools.
Right.
And there are a couple of local.
Okay.
So
that's great.
exciting. And it would be great if there were some sort of an education
Sure.
component.
It's a good idea. Right. I think it would be good for everyone to know what we've done and why and things like that. I never knew that Mayor Larson had such ecological sensitivity.
Well, so I was just going to get into how this all
Yes.
came about. Darrell Godfrey, who's a local photographer and works for the Star, she sent me all these beautiful photos of the way the pond used to look. I don't know what year it was, but it was just great. And I forwarded those to you and asked if you would be interested in doing this. So she really was the one who came up with the idea. And I just think it's a great project, and I think it's going to look really, really beautiful. So I want to thank you.
Happy to
And I
help.
also wanted to say, in case you don't know, Ed is a great softball player. He plays on the Artist Writers game. I think, how many years in a row have you had the MVP?
Maybe was.
I said is, didn't I?
Yes, but was maybe a better term. That's back when I was 6'2".
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks very much. I really
Happy to do it.
appreciate you
Thank you.
doing this. All right, next up is Dan. Dan Gualtieri is going to give us a presentation about,
A heart healthy challenge.
there we go.
Okay. Tom Strong, my partner in this endeavor, couldn't make it. He was called away at the last minute on a family emergency. And I just lost my presentation. I passed these out. I don't know if you saw these.
Yes, we have.
Thank you again for inviting me. Hold on. I have this open. There you go. Okay. So we started a weight loss contest between the police department, East Hampton Police Department, and Ocean Rescue it started on March 1st. It ended on Memorial Day. Tom was the one that actually created it, and it started out with 8 guys, and after a few weeks, it whittled down to 6 guys, and then at the end, it was 5 guys. But what we learned from the experience was that we tend to overeat and drink when we're under stress, and being overweight adds to underlying health issues like hypertension, high blood pressure, higher cholesterol counts, and an assortment of health issues, none more serious than a heart attack or stroke. So that said, we've we've added additional complications with COVID. So we've learned that first responders, we need to be cognitive aware of our general physical well-being, so that when we're called into service, that we don't want to add to the calamity by becoming part of the rescue effort. All right. So moving forward, we've designed the challenge to be less about weight or weight loss. And if you look at our program design, we're giving points for things like logging in physical activities, changes in your diet, but big bonus points come from medical exams. If you go in and get a physical checkup, check your blood pressure, have your cholesterol count checked, even a colonoscopy, that you'll get these big bonus points. So again, yes, losing weight is all part and parcel with better health, but we're really more concerned about the correlation between weight loss and physical well-being. So anyway, the challenge is a fundraiser. If you notice that the participants will pay an entry fee, and that money will go to the East Hampton Food Pantry. We're also soliciting grand prizes for the winner and the runner-ups, that were all health related. The YMCA is on board and offered their total support as far as, offering free passes for people that are part of the program, some mentoring. Dr. Dempsey's office has offered their support. As far as the YMCA offered a family membership is one of the prizes. We're seeking a donor of a bike and Gurney's in for a spa weekend. But we're just asking you guys for your endorsement and the ability to place our flyers, at the appropriate locations around town and solicit the village PD, the fire department, EMS as participants. We just Chris, thank you again for inviting me. You've taken Big John Ryan's lifeguard oath to heart. That once a lifeguard, always a lifeguard. So, as an ocean rescue member, we're just looking out for the first responders. As we, let this thing go, we're hoping that it can become a townwide event. But right now, it's just inviting all the first responders into this challenge. Anyway, that's it. Any questions?
No, that's terrific. It's a very good initiative, and we'll certainly join with you on this.
All right. Thank you.
When I was chief of police, we used to do this every January. We would have the Biggest Losers contest. It was the same concept, but it was just within the police department and dispatch. I think one year, what'd you lose, Mike? Like 35 pounds or something?
I spent significant time in a steam room.
Yeah.
And I dehydrated myself foolishly, and I still lost.
He still lost to one of our secretaries who,
Nice. Thank you.
so.
Don't you want?
But it was a great
don't
time.
You want to be the loser? Don't you want to be the loser in that case?
Well,
Yeah.
that was the thing we recognized. It's not about like you lose the weight and then a few months later you gain it all back. It's about, like I said, lowering blood pressure, lowering heart rate, getting cholesterol checked, those correlating factors. So then you think twice before gaining all the weight back, because you gain the weight back, all these things are going to
Right.
go up again. So
No, it's terrific.
anyway, all right.
Thanks very much.
All right. Thank you again.
Great. Thanks, Dan.
All right, so we're going to into board discussions now on the agenda. So the last month, we had a gentleman who owns a property up on Ocean Avenue come to us about planting trees on our lot, on our property to block the view of the parking lot from his residence. So after that meeting, every board member had an opportunity to go look at the site, and each one reported back that they were not interested in allowing any plantings to take place, and that is the decision of the board, and there is nothing further is happening with that project. So there was no reason for a resolution because there was no motion, there was nothing on the table to be voted on. Again, it was a suggestion from the homeowner, and we certainly understand and we sympathize with him. But again, after the entire board took a look at the project, it's been turned down. Everybody's in agreement on that? So the next board discussion is from Billy about coastal erosion hazard.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. I submitted a memorandum to the board. If you've all had a chance to read it, I won't, read it out, regurgitate the entire report, but I can give you a very brief synopsis.
Perfect.
The recommendations. So the coastal erosion hazard area covers the entire stretch of Atlantic shoreline within the village. It's a regulation that was enacted by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and it's implemented by the village. The Village Zoning Board of Appeals is the board that oversees issuing permits and variances from the coastal erosion hazard area. And presently, when the law was enacted, there was a requirement that permits be valid for a period of 1 year. That provision of the code hasn't been analyzed or looked at since the enactment of the code. And since that time, the DEC, which still implements this law in other municipalities, has amended it to allow permits be valid for a period of at least 3 years. And so my recommendation is to amend the code so that we are issuing permits now or variances for a period of 3 years versus 1 year. I have in here a variety of reasons why I think it's a good idea. And because it's a state law that we implement, we have to have approval from the state in order to make any modifications. I've run this past some gentlemen that review or are responsible for overseeing the program, and they had no objection to it. So if the board is in agreement, we could work on a code amendment for your next meeting and put it up for a public hearing.
Anybody have any questions?
No, I think it's a good idea. I mean, things take a lot of time in zoning, especially when you're in the coastal erosion area. So I wouldn't want to have people come to us for a permit and then get it and then have to come back to us to renew it when they're waiting on the state or they're waiting on someone else. So it seems like it makes perfect sense.
Do you know how many permits we have that are
Active, open?
open?
Open, I would say there's 2 or 3 right now.
Okay, so we want to make sure those are included in this new legislation that
Yeah, I think.
they don't have to
I
go
mean,
back to the ZBA.
A few people have come back already for extensions. And I believe at least one project, I would expect they're nearing completion pretty soon.
Okay.
So we'd be capturing one more, basically.
All right, so do we want to move this to a public hearing? Is that, or we still need to draft the legislation? How do you want to proceed, Vinny?
Authorize a public hearing.
Okay. All right, so can I get a motion for that?
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, so we'll go forward with a public hearing on that.
Okay.
All right, great. Thanks for doing all that. All right, so the next, we have a public hearing, but before we do that, I see there's a lot of people here, which is unusual. So is there anyone who would like public comment before we get into the public hearing about anything? Okay. All right, so we'll move into the public hearing. June?
Introductory number 4 of 2022. It's a proposed local law amending Chapter 267 Vehicle and Traffic to alleviate traffic flow, parking, and line of sight issues in the area of Dayton Lane. Parking of vehicles in any of the following locations is hereby prohibited on both sides of Dayton Lane from the intersection of Main Street and Dayton Lane, 600 feet in a westerly direction, where it had been 438 feet.
All right. Anybody have any comments? Public? No? All right, I'm going to leave the hearing open till December, and then we'll close it in December if there's no further comments. But if anybody's out there and would like to email us any comments about it, please feel free to do that. All right, so that we're going to leave open. June?
Okay.
All right, so we're going to go into motions and resolutions. June?
Resolution 249, approve claim vouchers for the month of September.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 250, approve warrants as listed.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
251, approve budget transfer schedule number 12, reference number 12, dated October 7th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Approve minutes from meetings held on August 19th, September 1st, and September 16th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Approve departmental reports.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 254, as per subsection 267-39A, vehicle and traffic, to make long-term daily parking permit fees consistent at 10.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 255, approve ambulance association membership changes as listed. Resignation of Paul DeAndrea, effective September 1st. Resignation of Kathleen Weiss, effective September 28th. And Randy Hoffman to exempt status, he was a member since 2014.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. I'd just like to thank each one of them for their service to the village ambulance.
Number 256, approve John DeStillwell and Francine Hanford to work as museum guides on a call-in basis from September 19th, 2022 to May 14th, 2023 at $20 and 18 hours per hour respectively.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 257, accept new fire department member Manuel Pucha of Hose Company number 4.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 258, appoint Dale Leff to the Design Review Board, term to expire July 31st, 2024. Appoint Sue Davies to the Design Review Board, term to expire July 31st, 2004. Appoint Jeff Williams to the Planning Board, term to expire July 31st, 2027. Appoint Abigail Lamb to the ZBA as an alternate, term to expire July 31st, 2025. and appoint James McMullen as Vice Chair to the ZBA, term to expire July 31st, 2023.
Just one change to that. We're not appointing Dale Leff at this meeting. So we're just going to take her off of that motion. So I'll accept a motion for the rest of the motion that June read.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 259, employ Gary Brandell as a part-time paramedic at the hourly rate of $32, effective October 11th, 2022, retroactively.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 260, 2022, approve $2 hourly wage increase to the hourly rate of $32 for part-time masons Jose Landano and Fernie Landano, effective August 1st, 2022, retroactively.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. Those two guys have done the best job on all of our sidewalks, the brickwork, the tree surrounds. They're just doing an incredible job, and happy to pay this extra money and save the village. I don't even know how much, but thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So I thank both of them. And again, we hope they stay with us for a long, long time. Next.
Resolution number 261, approve annual maintenance service contract with Mayday Communications for the emergency radio operations and dispatches audio log digital voice recording system. And that's as per Chief Tracy's October 11th memo.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 262, approve the $2,937 purchase of a Talon radar unit from Custom Signals. And that's as per Chief Tracy's October 7th memo.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 263, approve $7,837.68 purchase of 3 LifePak 1000 AEDs from Stryker Medical as per Chief Tracy's October 7th memo, and that would include a $300 trade-in for the old ones.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Passed and carried.
Number 264, approve Dunmere Lane, Darby Lane, and James Lane Main Street intersection paving improvements by Rosemar at a cost of $81,869. And that's off a Suffolk County contract and town highway contract as per Dave Collins' October 11th memo.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
265, notice to bidders for Class B turnout gear for the fire department with the bid opening to be held on November 7th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 266, reject September 12th, 2022 bid received from Intricate Tech Solutions Limited for the HVAC and heating maintenance contract.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 267, accept September 12th, 2022 bid received from Grant Heating and Cooling, Inc. for the HVAC and heating maintenance contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
268, accept $30,000 Robert Hefner Historical Consulting Agreement for Phase 2 of the Domini Shops.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 269, accept the $34,800 proposal from H2M Architects and Engineers for STP siting feasibility analysis.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
270, hereby creating the East Hampton Traffic Committee. Jerry Larson, our mayor, Michael Tracy, our police chief, Dave Collins, Billy Hayjack, Peter Van Scoyac, Michael Sarlo, the town police chief, Stephen Lynch, and Jeremy Samuelson as members.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. And the reason we are creating this traffic committee is because, as we all know, traffic is a nightmare out here. And in order to solve problems, we need to work together, town and village, to fix some of the problems that we have. And a lot of the traffic issues we have are certainly too many cars for the area, but we also have traffic light issues that really back up traffic unnecessarily, in our opinion. So we've reached out to the town to form this committee to see if we can fix some of these problems. I mean, we've all taken the ride to Bridgehampton, and that Wainscott traffic light seems to be backing traffic up for no apparent reason, all the way back to as far as the Red Horse Market. So, and then once you pass that traffic light, there's no traffic from there to Bridgehampton. So in my eyes, there's something wrong with that traffic light, because if the traffic is backed up from the light towards East Hampton, it should also be backed up on the other side of the light. So I think the timing, something's wrong with that light. We're having a similar problem on Accabonac, backs up to Town Hall. And at nighttime, North Main Street is a complete disaster going towards Springs. So I think there's things we can do. And I think putting the police chiefs and the planners and the highway superintendents in the same room, hopefully we can get something accomplished that will help us alleviate some of this congestion. And another big reason to do it is we receive so many complaints about speeding cars on back roads. And if we alleviate the traffic on the main roads, people won't be on the back roads using them as bypasses. So it's really important that we focus on keeping 27 moving as efficiently as possible to keep people from using the back roads. I think that's common sense. I'm not sure it can be achieved, but I think trying is worth a shot. So that's the reason for the committee. Next.
Number 271, approve Suffolk Security Systems proposal to update and replace outdated alarm systems. Vista 32 FB Sirius alarm panel at 7,577 at the Osborne Jackson House, and Vista 12-8 FB series alarm panel, $8,773 for Village Hall.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 272, approve Aesthetics Committee Charter.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. All right, there's no further business, June.
Yep, that's it.
So I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting and move into executive session to discuss real estate, personnel, and legal issues.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. This meeting is closed and we'll move into executive session. Thank you, everybody, for coming.